You're watching Pyro Media Network.
Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had no way.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Hey. Welcome to this week's episode of Nicole D Vick Live. I am Nicole D Vick. Yay. Woo. Happy Friday, Junior. I don't know, but this is literally the most exciting time of the week for me. Maybe it's first of all because I get to speak to all of you and see how y'all are doing. We can check in, catch up. But I think, as an adult, the days leading into the weekend become so exciting. The little things happy. And so really excited to be going into the weekend and also to be here with you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode. If you are able, please share this video with your friend, share it with your mama, your auntie, your cousin. We are talking about Black History Month, specifically the future of the Black community. I'm kind of sad though, because Black History Month is moving too fast for me. I'm like, slow down. I know we have an extra day, yay, but it's moving fast. I really enjoy this month. I didn't get a chance to do some of the things that I wanted to do this month, like the Pan-African Film Festival. Every year I say I want to do it and I never do. I have to force myself next year. I got to get it together because it looks like it's such an amazing time. This month has been amazing so far. I had someone on to talk about Black history, or was that just me talking to myself? Wait a minute, that was just me talking to myself about the history of the Black community. But last week I had 3 amazing Black women business owners talking about the present status of the Black community. And this week we're going to talk about the future. And I'm so excited about it. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you once again about my newest book, Triumph in the Trenches. It's Navigating Success for Black Professionals, a book that is a guidebook, the green book for Black working people. And I've been talking about the Green Book and how important it was for the Black community for many, many years, how we were able to get out of the South to the North or the West safely. We needed to know where to go, what to do, where not to go. And the Green Book helped us do that. And I see Triumph in the Trenches in much the same way. Some of us cannot quit our jobs. We got pensions to look forward to. We got, health insurance to look forward to at retirement with the pension. We got children, grandkids. We have to, take care of things. And so we can't just walk away. And so how do we navigate? If we got to sit there and stay there, how do we make this work for us? And this book, I think, is the solution to that. It is 20 plus authors from all different industries. And of course, because my background is in service and social justice, my chapter is focused on psychological safety among that group of folks, because sometimes we get forgotten about. They think, well, you guys are passionate about the work. You all right over there? Not necessarily so. And so there's a lot of great content there. So stay tuned. Pre-sales are available. I'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. Whew. I have an amazing guest tonight. As I said last week, I focused on Black present, and we had those 3 Black business owners. And today we're going to talk about the Black future, the future of our community. And I don't mean future like a couple years from now. I want us to project 50, 100, 150 years from now. What are we going to be doing? Are we going to be free? Are we going to be safe? What are we going to be doing? And so my guest today is Dr. M. Keith Claybrook. And I'm going to read, maybe I won't read the whole thing, but I told him I was going to read his whole bio and embarrass him because I know people hate that. So I'm like, I was going to do it. Dr. M. Keith Claybrook Jr. is an associate professor of Africana Studies at Cal State University, Long Beach, where he teaches classes on Black history, research methods, and critical thinking. He is also advisor of the Black Student Union and the Black Business Student Association. Claybrook serves on CSU Long Beach's President's Equity and Change Commission and served 2 terms as vice president of the Black Faculty and Staff Association, and currently serves as a faculty co-chair. So I won't go all the way through this, but I will talk about his books. Claybrook is the author of Building the Basics, a handbook for pursuing academic excellence in Africana Studies, which offers tips, tidbits, and suggestions for studying at home, African deep thought and critical thinking, critical reading and questioning, scholarly writing, working collaboratively in groups, and preparing for quizzes and exams. He's also a lifetime member and regular contributor to Black Perspectives, which is the award-winning blog of the African American Intellectual History Society. How do we get to be a part of that? That's cool. That sounds really interesting. He has lent his expertise to Today in LA on NBC, KGLH's Front Page with Dominique DePrima, KPCC NPR on Air Talk with Larry Mantle, and other television, print, and internet media outlets. So let's bring on Dr. M. Keith Claybrook. Welcome. Hi, Dr. Claybrook. How are you? You good? Can you hear me? Are you there? Where's Dr. Claybrook? Can you hear me, producer? I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Can he hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Why you was playing like you couldn't hear?
I couldn't hear you until you said, "Can you hear me?" I didn't hear anything before that.
You got me out here like, wait a minute. We was gonna have to go to commercial break. Like, oh Lord. Well, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really glad to have you here. So I read your bio, as much of it, because I was like, I'm starting to stumble over my words. So well, I got through it though. Very impressive. And I know you focus a lot on Black history, but when I thought about this episode and really thinking about the future of the Black community, of course, my mind went to Afrofuturism. And I know we're not going to dig into that because that's really not the focus of the show per se, but I am going to give and share with the audience what Afrofuturism is. I actually have a t-shirt on that says Afrofuturism.
Very nice.
A Black fashion designer, and it was a collaboration with Forever 21, which was really interesting. But anyway, Afrofuturism is a cultural aesthetic, philosophy of science, and history that explores the intersection of the African diaspora culture with science and technology. It addresses themes and concerns of the African diaspora through technoculture and speculative fiction, encompassing a range of media and artists with a shared interest in envisioning Black futures that stem from Afro-diasporic experiences. And so I think for me, I tend to see Afrofuturism in literature, in art. But one of the things that touched me when I read this, matter of fact, this came from Wikipedia, was this idea of speculative fiction, like imagining a world where things that have happened to us culturally, like slavery, didn't happen. Now, how would our future be rewritten? And so I know we're not going to dig deep into that, but I want to put that out there to the group, to the listeners, so they understand that there is a whole sort of genre or a way of thinking about us in the future. So if you think of like Nichelle, what is the lady on Star Trek? Like those kinds of things to me are concepts of Afrofuturism, us in the future, being able to see us outside of present time or even in the past. I don't know if you have any thoughts about Afrofuturism or even this whole idea of us thinking of ourselves, like I said, 50, 100, 150 years into the future, these ideas and concepts of that.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I mean, I'm aware of and I know of Afrofuturism. Have I studied Afrofuturism? No, I have not studied it. But I will say this. In thinking about Afrofuturism and thinking about, some of the things that you just shared, what immediately comes to mind is the concept of Sankofa, which some of us may be familiar with, the Akan word from West Africa. There you go, the Sankofa bird, right? Translated essentially to return to the source or go back and fetch it, right? So, and that's the way in which I understand history, is that we look at that history not to, leave it in the past as some distant time with old bunch of dead people, names, places, and events, that sort of thing. No, history should be instructive if we take the time to study it and to understand it. So when I think about, for example, Harriet Tubman, when she's leading souls to the promised land, so to speak, she has hope and dreams of a better days ahead. When I think about a Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association making moves to build the Black Star Line, why? To try to make things better for future generations. Going back to Africa, why? With the hopes of making things better, for future generations. When Dr. King is talking about, I have a dream, again, he's thinking about down the line. It's not just so Black folks have always thought about the future, whether it's 50, 100, 150, 1,000 years ahead. We have a long history of thinking about, of hoping and dreaming today about tomorrow. Think about Biggie. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, right? That whole song is about, it started as a dream. Now look at me. Now look where I'm going. I'm making moves. Now, don't get me wrong. Big also did some other stuff, and then he got killed and these sorts of things. But that's the point here. The point here is the idea of dreaming and thinking about what the future holds for us. As Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive, right? Yep. And so if we were to keep hope alive, that is thinking about the future. When Barack Obama revisits this very concept of hope, again, it's forward looking. So it's not thinking about the past and leaving it there. It's thinking about the past to empower us, to inspire us, and to encourage us to keep going forward. That's what the study of history should have us doing.
Right. Oh my goodness. You know what? On that note, I feel like the episode is over. You have said so much in just that short time. And I think it was really important to frame the conversation in that way. And you use so many different references, Harriet Tubman, Biggie, right? Like, I don't know anybody that can do that except for you. Appreciate that. And you also talked about something. It's a perfect segue. I watched the video of Erica Alexander, Maxine off of Living Singles, and she said that she was having a conversation with the producer and her husband, and the producer said Black people don't like science fiction because they can't see themselves in the future. And her husband said, I disagree with you. He said the past is painful, and I think he's specifically talking about the Black American experience here in this country, right? Sort of slavery. The present is precarious, but the future is free. And I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Did my internet go out, or was that his internet? We having technical difficulties today. See, y'all. I asked this question. I'm gonna keep talking till he come back. You back, Dr. Claybrook? Somebody trying to let us have this conversation, and we're not gonna allow that. Are you here? You back? Can you hear me? Yeah, maybe. Should we go to commercial producer and then come back? I'm with you on whatever you decide until we can get him back. Okay. You good now? Can you hear me now? Mm-mm. Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear.
Oh, no. Okay. Producer, you want to go to commercial and then we come back?
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I
can hear you now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear you.
It's technology. And listen,
but you were talking about Erica Alex.
Yes, I was talking about Erica Alexander. Listen, so she was having a conversation with her husband and a producer, and her producer said, Black people don't like science fiction because they can't see themselves in the future. And her husband said, no, that is not true. He said that the past is painful, referring to, of course, our experience in this country as being enslaved. The present is precarious. It's always precarious for us, but the future. And I think you've already answered that question to some extent, but I don't know if you have anything else to add, because when she said that the past is painful, the present is precarious, but the future is free, it did something to me. I think I almost cried because it was so profound. And it speaks to what you said, but I don't know if there's an additional angle to what we've just talked about and what that quote was.
Yeah, I saw the interview. Oh. I saw that snippet, I should say. Okay. So there are, and I agree that there are aspects of the past that are painful. There's aspects of the present that is future, but there's also aspects of the past that is empowering. There's also aspects of the present that is inspiring. And so that allows for the future to be hopeful, right? And so when I take a look at the past, in the midst of that pain, I see people like Nat Turner, who in the midst of of enslavement in South Carolina, finds a way to literally fight for freedom. When I look at the past and I think about someone like a Dorothy Height, who was president of the National Council of Negro Women for 40 years, I see a national organization of Black women. We talk a lot about sororities, as we should. Many of these sororities did a lot of very good things. And Dorothy Height was a Delta, if I remember correctly, right? But the National Council of Negro Women was very instrumental before the Black Freedom Movement, during the Black Freedom Movement, and afterwards. So in the midst of that pain, these Black women organized. In the midst of this pain, these Black women not only organized, they organized themselves north, south, east, west, as well as the Midwestern states, to create change, to empower. So I'm reminded, it's a little joke, but I'm very serious. I'm reminded of what's that cartoon, that animated movie with it's the little girl. She got all the emotions in her head. There's joy, and there's anger, and there's sadness, right? And so anytime you know, joy was upset with sadness, because you're making her sad. But when you really take a look at it, anytime the girl was sad, it was associated with joy. And anytime you had joy, inside out, that's what it is, inside out. And anytime there was joy, it was associated, right? So you don't have the joy without the pain. I love Frankie Beverly and Maze. And it's a great, right? Joy and pain, right? And so we can talk about pain, but don't leave out the joy. We can talk about the suffering, but don't leave out the empowerment, because that is part of the experience. Both of them are part of the experience. And so this is why when you take a look at, I know I keep on going back to history because it's Black History Month. I'm going to teach a little bit, right? Some people like to talk about the spirituals or call them Negro spirituals or spirituals and call them sorrow songs. Not all of them were sorrowful. No. So to call them sorrowful is to miss the point. Yep. You can take the same song, like Wade in the Water, Wade in the Water, and it can sound sorrowful, but you speed up that tempo, Wade in the Water, Wade, right? And now it got a whole different sort of vibe to it, right? The tempo changes the mood, right? And so both of them are present. So anyone, in my estimation, that limits our history to only joy misses the pain. Anyone who limits our history to only pain misses the joy. There's a balance. And so one of the things that we have as a responsibility as students of history is to balance the joy and the pain. The pain, in part, motivated us to do a lot of the great things that we credit ourselves with doing. Yep. The achievers of scientific advancements, of artistic creativity, a lot of those things were motivated by the pain. Yep. So you can't leave that out of the equation.
Wow. And you just, the last thing you said reminded me about how innovative we have been able to be. Even again, forecasting, coming up with stuff that's, people are just now like, oh, we should do that. We was already doing that, or we've already created that. Even the funny thing is, even this conversation around country music, not even related really to this conversation, but in a sense it is. Wow, Beyonce, she's into country. Baby, who you think created country music? Where do you think it came from? Where do you think the banjo came from, right? And so I went down this rabbit hole of a banjo that now is used, but where did it come from? And so again, it's interesting to really start to think about not just the future by itself, but add to your point, how all these things sort of work together. Really, really interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff. All right, we're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back because I am going to ask you to do some forecasting. I'm going to. I know you're the professor of the past. I won't make you, but we're going to go to commercial first.
Sounds good.
Because self-care should be luxurious. Luxe Noir.
Catch the electrifying sounds of Bulletin Flight Radio anywhere you go? Yes, you heard it right. Tune in to the high-flying beats and soaring melodies by downloading the TuneIn app on your mobile device. Just search for Bulletin Flight Radio and hit play. It's that easy. And if you have a smart device like Alexa or Google, just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn." Experience the rush of adrenaline wherever you are. Listen to Bullet in Flight Radio on TuneIn using your Alexa or Google devices. Soaring through the skies has never sounded this good. Don't miss out on the ultimate musical journey. Tune in now to Bullet in Flight Radio on TuneIn and let the music take you on an unforgettable ride. Get ready to elevate your listening experience. Brought to you by Bullet in Flight Radio.
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19. But their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy, proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Are back. Yes, I'm here with Dr. M. Keith Claybrook, and we're talking about Black futures. That is what we're talking about. Before we resume our conversation, I saw a few comments go across the screen, and I didn't get a chance to address those. So, Mr. Producer, if you could bring those back so we can kind of take a looky-loo. That used to be true before technology showed us that anything is very possible. Obama was a big part of that. I think that was part of an earlier conversation. Yep. Yes, the framing amongst all the chaos, there should be hope for a future. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. I'm so glad folks are chiming in, leaving comments. Thank you so much for watching. Imagine how the Black child felt that was born in the Obama years. Wow, with a Black president that learned later it was only white presidents before Obama, right? Right? Like, that's crazy. And, you know, a lot of us, you know, probably never thought we would see that. And so to actually be able to see that, but then now, like where we at now, child, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I was going to ask you, Dr. Claybrook, have you seen the snippet that was on, I think, I forgot who it was, but they were like, oh my gosh, these Trump sneakers, you see all the Black you know, throwing away their support for Biden, you know, because they love sneakers. I said, you know, I knew that there was a segment of the population of these people that thought that we were not that smart. But I'm like, is that what they really think? That we gonna change our vote because of some tennis shoes that look like they ain't even cute?
They're not even cute, huh? I saw that. I don't even have a response to that, to tell you the truth. It's, you know, yeah, I don't even want to deal with foolishness. Doesn't interest me, and that's what that was, foolishness. So yeah, I know that's not good podcast sort of response, but like, no.
That's fine. It's perfect to go on this podcast because it was foolishness, but it was like, y'all really think that's how y'all think we think? Really? That's the part I was like, dang, wow, okay, got it. All right, so here's where we're going to forecast. What do you see for us in the next 50 to 150 years? We're not going to be here. Well, maybe we will, because technology, I mean, I don't know if I would want to be here that long. No. Anyway, our kids and grandkids will be here. Where do you think we will thrive? Where will we struggle, if any? And will we be free?
All right, so there's a lot there. There's a lot there. So let me start with the last part, which
Okay.
is, will we be free? Right. Because the first African that had to struggle to maintain their freedom when being captured, attempting to be captured and brought across the Atlantic to be enslaved, that was the beginning of the Black freedom struggle, because they knew what it meant to be free and they fought to maintain it to the best of their ability. Then you have generations later, we are born into a perpetual state of being unfree. And that looks different at different times and in different places, but a perpetual state of being unfree. So to answer that question, I think part of the conversation is, what does freedom mean? Because even talk about the Black freedom movement, we talk about the civil rights movement, but I think that's actually a misnomer, because the word that was used most commonly during the civil rights movement was freedom, whether it was freedom songs, freedom summer, March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, Freedom Inc., Freedom Now Party, Radio Free Dixie, Freedom Rides, Freedom Rally. I can keep on going talking about freedom, because freedom was all over the place. That's what we were after. They even had a song, you know, woke up one morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Took it from an old spiritual that said, woke up one morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. Now woke up one morning with my mind stayed on freedom. So I'm going to keep my mind stayed on freedom, because what you're talking about in your question is, are we going to be free? So when I talk about freedom, I understand it both individually and collectively. What it means for us individually, what it means for us collectively, because you don't have a collective without the individual, and you don't have the individual without the collective. So we have to understand it in a interconnected sort of way. Yeah. So I look at freedom at least in two ways. One is conceptual, the other one is functional. Conceptually, freedom refers to having human respect and dignity. We have to have it for ourselves, and we have to demand it from others. So when other people enslaved us, redlined us, Jim Crowed us, put us in cages and incarcerated us, you do not respect our humanity. You cannot respect other people's humanity when you do that sort of thing to them, right? But one of the things that we learn if we study Rosa Parks, she did not decide to stay in that seat because she wanted the white people's approval. She stayed in the seat because she said, I'm tired of you treating me with disrespect and treating me with a lack of dignity and respect that I deserve. So I'm going to stay here, right? Until you treat me with respect, till you treat me with some dignity, right? If you read her autobiography, that word dignity comes up all the time. It wasn't about, that's how she saw herself. She never lost the self-respect. She always carried herself with dignity. And she said, I'd be damned if I let y'all treat me any less than who and what I am. So we have to understand conceptually freedom with regards to respect and dignity. But functionally, I have to live day to day. So what does that look like? The functional part of it has to do with our quality of life and our material conditions. Right. The United Nations have included in quality of life, education, mental health, not just a living wage, but economics, meaning like the material conditions, a salary, right? A quality of life that's fit for a human being. Yep. We got people out here in LA and other parts of the country who can't make it alive through the winter because they're housing insecure. There's some people who purposely get themselves arrested so they can get out of the conditions on these streets. Yep. That's not a quality of life and material conditions fit for a human. So it challenges us to think and rethink what it means to be free. But to say all of that, to have that human respect and dignity, to have quality of life and material conditions. As a student of history, I'm optimistic about the future. Okay. I'm very optimistic about the future, and I'll tell you why. Because if you take a look at our history in this country, like we said at the beginning of the show, We've gone through some things, but we keep moving forward, right?
Yes.
We can nuance that, no doubt. I'm not saying that in certain instances we haven't taken 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, sometimes 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, but there's movement nonetheless. So when I take a look at, let's take the last 10 years, 15 years in and of itself. These young people who are growing up having they don't know when there wasn't a black president. They know Obama. They know there's a black woman as vice president. Right. Black girl magic is everywhere. My brother's keeper, black dads, right? Hashtag Black Dads Matter. The recentering of HBCUs. Just the other day, Sacramento State, right here in California, Sac State introduced to the state the Black Honors College. AP African American Studies. We can talk about all we want to, all the drama that's associated with it, but think about what this means to this generation that's growing up with it. They're growing up in a time period where blackness is at the forefront. Right? They're seeing blackness in a positive way to varying degrees, right? That future generations really can't say to the same degree. So we're putting things in place that I don't know if we're going to reap the benefits today or tomorrow, but we may reap the benefits next year or maybe even next decade. So I'm optimistic because of the work that Black Lives Matters have put in, because of the work that Black men and women and Black queer folk have put in all around the country, right, to try to improve our quality of life and material conditions, who have put in work all over the country to ensure that our that's what Black excellence is. We have talked about Black excellence all the time. You've grown up with a generation who this hashtag, this phrase of Black excellence, this is their mantra. We're just waiting for them to come of age to be able to do something with it. But I'm optimistic that in the next 50, 100, 150 years, that people are going to be looking back on the 2000 teens in the 2020s with like, see, man, that moment right there was dope. You see how much happened doing that, right? We may not see it now because we're in the midst of it. So what our challenge and our responsibility is to keep making moves today, so that our children's children can reap the benefits of that struggle. We may not see the benefits of it, but the benefits are going to be there.
Yeah. I totally 100% agree. And it's so funny because for me, and we're getting ready to wrap up, in some ways, I think I have become not optimistic about a lot of things, but hearing you be optimistic about it really is helping me to get back to that optimistic person that I have been. I think a lot of times.
Well, let me say this. I apologize for cutting you off, but let me say this: cautiously optimistic.
Okay. All right.
Cautiously,
okay.
Because we can't sit back and rest on it. We still got to put in the work. And that's where because the other forces are going to also regroup. History teaches us that. They're going to regroup. So I'm cautiously optimistic, right? Let me put that clause in there. Okay. Cautiously optimistic because we still have work to do. The struggle's not over. We have to continue to work for that freedom and that future that we all want and deserve.
Absolutely. And I think you just said something also very important, using that past as reference point, as a sort of, how can I use what has happened in the past to help inform the future? I think is also very, very, very important. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I feel like we might have to have a part 2, bring some other folks on, because I feel like I was in class. I'm like, I'm learning, which is really important. I think there's always an opportunity to learn something new. There's, never, I know everything. There's always opportunity to learn something new. Again, the past can definitely inform the future. And I think you actually drew that line very, very clearly, which I appreciate. So I thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and close us out. All right, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to stop by. You know where to find me. I'm on social media, mostly on LinkedIn these days, because the LinkedIn people seem to like to read my posts and listen to my videos. TikTok people are mean, and Instagram people, I don't know what happened. So follow and all my other social medias. Of course, I'm still around, but not as much as on LinkedIn. I have a book. My newest book, Triumph in the Trenches, is available on my website. And if you also go on my website, you can see my other books, Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson, and my journal, Push Through 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times. There's my website there, www.NicoleDVick.com. I'm going to post a video tomorrow where to let you all know you can reach out to me to be on your panel, to moderate your event, to do a thing. I do all those things, so you can reach out to me on my website in that way. So tune in next week. We are going to play a replay of my friend Dallas Frank. She did a really good episode with us last year to close out Black History. So thank you again, Dr. Claybrook. And
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.